Hello, everybody. You know, an awful lot of you have had some sort of awakening experience. I know because you write me about it, and I can read between the lines, and I can see that there are really a lot of authentic glimpses happening out there. There may not be that many full-blown awakenings, but there are certainly pops. Yeah, and I remember that I had a lot of pops before I ever had what we might consider a larger awakening. But you know, a pop counts. You know, any kind of glimpse counts because whether you're glimpsing or you're abiding, you're a glimpsing and abiding the very same thing, right? You're glimpsing awakeness, you're abiding as awakeness. When I say you're glimpsing awakeness, I don't mean that you, the person, are glimpsing awakeness. I mean that awakeness is glimpsing its own true nature. Awakeness is realizing, oh, look at this. There's just one thing. And it's not this body. So, about probably 80% of my time, maybe 85%, something like that, a very heavy percentage of my time is spent with people in post awakening or people who want to be in post awakening. Um, that meaning that they are actually in post awakening, but they're not abiding. That's what I'm really talking about. Is that they're not abiding, they're not having long sequences of clarity, of just knowing who they are. Because that's all really clarity is. It's knowing who you are, but it's knowing who you are. It's not knowing who you are. You know, it's not having some kind of idea. And I remember, oh, that's right, I'm part of God or I'm part of oneness or something like that. That ain't it. That can be part of it. That can be the beginning of it, but that ain't it. So what I find is that the chief thing standing in the way of your being awake to your true nature right now, of awakeness being awake. I'm not talking to a human being right now. I know it may feel like it probably looks like there's a human being over here. And within relativity, there certainly is. But there is not one in, but there's really an animating, there's prana, just an animating force. That's what's really talking. It's using this unit in order to do it so that it can speak to itself within a dream. God almighty, how about that? So, and it may feel like you're a human being too. And within relativity, you certainly are. But beyond that, there's just one thing going on and you're it. And so this is awakeness talking to awakeness. And it's awakeness just trying to bring a little more clarity to itself over there. Because what I really am is I'm like a optometrist, you know, where they have those, when I go for my glasses, they have those little things. You're like, this one better or this one or two, two or three, three or four, and then you finally get it to where they line up, and then you got your prescription. And that's sort of what happens here, is that what I'm trying to do is just line up these two different lenses, what the where things are seen from here, and thus how they are seen, and where things are seen from there, and thus how they are seen. And because all I'm trying to do is line those lenses up so I can see as clearly through that unit as I can see through this one, says awakeness. Fred doesn't say that. There is no Fred. There's an appearance of Fred, there's an experience of Fred, but there's no Fred. So the thing that will stand in your way the very most, other than in the body, which is really is that I should be clearer than this, right? I'm not awake, therefore I should be, and or I have had an awakening, but I'm not, but I can't remember what that experience was about, or I kind of know who I am. I mean, I do. I'm experiencing some sense of oneness and this and that, but but I don't experience it long enough. I don't experience it deeply enough. I don't experience it, this and that. And that's resistance. That's resistance to your true nature. And that resistance it's what will block awakeness from seeing its true nature. Because what awakeness, what operational awakeness, what conscious awakeness is really all about is accepting this moment exactly as it is. Except this is the only moment. So when I say this moment, I'm really talking about this arising, this experience. It's just the one moment. And it's about accepting this moment exactly as it is, which means that you're as clear as you should be. Always. You're just exactly as clear as you're supposed to be. All the time. So there's never a time when you should be clearer than you are, because that universe doesn't exist. And trying to live in a universe where you are clearer than you really are, and you're living in a universe where you're not as clear as that, in between the two, that's the gap of suffering. See? And what is the gap of suffering caused by? Your imagination. How about that? There's nothing stopping you other than your own imagination. There's nothing stopping you from experiencing yourself as awakeness here, now, and forever, for that matter, other than your imagination. Now, the experience of that clarity will vary in the sense that if I go into session, then I get to a very high degree of alertness, and I'm very keen on what's going on. I don't think about myself as awakeness, but I don't think about myself as being anything other than this, which includes the client over there. So that is unnecessary in order for me to fix T. It just isn't. To fix T, there doesn't have to be anybody doing it, right? There doesn't need to be a Fred doing it, and there doesn't need to be an awakeness that's doing it. And there is certainly can't be anything other than awakeness that's doing it, but that won't register over here. I won't feel like, wow, I'm awakeness and this is just great. I'm just, stirring this tea or something. It's not like that at all. It's just my experience is of pouring tea is probably certainly very similar to yours, except that over here there's no one doing it. It's just pouring tea. And there's no commentary like, oh my God, I don't want to spill the tea, or this tea isn't hot enough, or I left it in, this tea is too strong. Compared to what? Compared to what? Compared to an ideal tea that is in my imagination. There you have it. So accepting this as it is, but understand that we're talking about this exactly as it is, which includes this. And it includes not just this arising as we see it here, but this is an arising too. This is an arising. And what you are, awakeness, has to accept this arising as it is, because that's what it is. It's just an arising. The arisings come and arisings go. Where do they come? They come within consciousness and space. And where do they go? They go back to consciousness and space. Not that there's a difference between consciousness and space necessarily. So this relaxation, just relax. Okay? I mean, just relax, for God's sake. One of the things that an awakening session is just simply a place where it's very comfortable and very safe and easy to tell yourself the truth. That's all. And it cuts off the story of the future, right? Because we're running out of time. Are you awake yet? Are you awake yet? How you doing? that they can be so much fun. So accepting yourself. Notice and accept, and you know, and your job here as awakeness, as the absolute, is to surrender to relativity. Right? That's it. Is that this is the reason we don't stay awake. Is that we is that awakeness? We get a pop of awakeness. In other words, awakeness gets a pop of awakeness. And then we turn around and conditioning kicks back in and overcomes that awakeness. The conditioning kicks back in and says, no, he shouldn't be wearing that shirt, right? I wouldn't wear that shirt to a funeral. So there's resistance there. And it's, my yard right now is full of robins, and it shouldn't be. You know, I mean, it's glorious. They're all in bird baths and all this. It's great. It looks like Disneyland. So, but what if I didn't like robins? See, that would be the thing, is that, oh God, there are robins in the yard, and there shouldn't be. I'm trying to live on a planet where there are no robins in the yard, and the yard is full of them. That's the gap of suffering. It's my imagination thinking that that I should be living in a world where there are no robins, or that robins shouldn't be in this world, or they certainly shouldn't be in my yard. And any conflict somewhere up there whatsoever, that's the gap of suffering. Check this arising. Check what's in the mind. If there's a difference between the two, you are wrong. Every time. So, because this is as it is, you don't have to, whether you accept it as this as it is or not, there's only this as it is. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing other. No comparison, no alternative, just this. But see, what we do is we quarrel with this. And the chief object of our quarrel is usually this, right? And it's really bad when we think we are this. See, like, oh, this body is just such a misbehavior. It's just such a, you know, it's just such a whiner and a glutton or whatever. And it should be some other way. See, we set up benchmarks for ourselves, and then we fail to meet them. That's just what you do. One, we make them up. Two, we fail. And then the third thing is, then we get to fuss at the failed unit, which keeps our attention completely away from what is. Now we're only interested in our opinion about what is, and that's what we're caught up in. And everybody in the world almost is walking around caught up in their opinions about the world, and they don't even know what the world looks like because they're being bombarded by their own preferences and biases and prejudices. So what we're trying to do when we're attempting to wake up, whether it's for the first time or the next time or the last time, it's always, we're just relaxing. You know, we're just relaxing. And I told Betsy, there's a little pizza joint that we go to, Mod, some of you may know, on Saturday evenings. We just do it. We've been doing it forever, for a long, long time. Before that, with some other pizza joint. And I've had a number of spiritual experiences in this little pizza place. And I've reported about them to people in satsang. Just always kind of funny how it's just, I mean, sometimes very profound, right? It can be a pretty interesting little pizza parlor. And this Saturday night, I looked at Betsy and I said, so I know now why I have so many experiences in this little place. And she said, why? I said, because it's Saturday and I've not been on camera, which means that I'm simply more relaxed. The body is more relaxed. I don't have any stress whatsoever about sessions. I don't care if they're clarity sessions or awakening sessions. I don't even think about it. I don't have to do them, so why should I worry about them? But they do take a lot from out of the body physiologically. They're not easy because there's a big energy transfer, and God forbid it should be a big energy transfer and they don't even wake up, because at least when they wake up, I get something back. If they don't wake up, I don't get anything back. Then it's like, I'm just dead empty. So what we're trying to do is awakeness is trying to share the cosmic joke with awakeness, right? It's the cosmic joke is that there's no Fred here, and that's not Fred that's experiencing no Fred. It's awakeness that's experiencing no Fred. And so the cosmic joke is the fact that we awakening is coming to find out that, gee whiz, I'm awakeness, and I've been playing a game now for eons, as if I'm human being, and after human being after human being, and all of that is just crap. All of that is just a joke. The joke is there's only this, and how could I not seen it? Because it seems to me to be perfectly remarkable that that there could be only this, but given that there's oneness and only oneness, is there any way that oneness doesn't look like this? Huh? See, we want to say, oh, it can't look like this. And well, then tell me what oneness does look like, right? I mean, it has to look like this because there's not anything other than this. There's just this. And this is part of this. This body is part of it. And the body does what it does, and it never does anything wrong. Not from the absolute perspective. It doesn't mean that we give away all of our morals, or toss away all of our morals, so that we can then egoically do anything we want, because that's a wrong attitude to bring to life, because it's a selfish attitude, and that's never going to work in the long term. I'm only telling you this, somebody who lived selfishly for over 50 years. I mean, I knew what was right, and what was right was what felt good for me right now. I see Betsy's brothers going this now. They're in their 60s, and one of them 70, and they're just coming to some level of maturity, and they're inheriting their own karma, and their own karma has been a life of selfishness, and it ain't working out for them, right? They have less and less and less, and they have fewer and fewer people who give a shit about the fact that they have less and less and less and less, and etc. So and I inherited that same karma too when I was in my 50s. Fortunately, I had been awake for 4 years. I had been sober for 4 years prior to waking up. So I had been engaged in a spiritual program, and I was making some progress and being a little bit better human being. But ultimately, only awakeness would save the day. Only awakening would save the day, so that awakeness steps in where Fred steps out. Surrender to relativity. I tell you, awakeness, surrender to relativity, including this unit, that unit, every unit, including the fact that if your sound is bad right now, your picture is fuzzy, your internet connection is slow, that's part of it too. And if the dogs are barking in the background, that's not the part that's interrupting this. That is this. See, we could say the television's interrupting the dog, or the whatever monitor computer. Relax. Enjoy the cosmic joke. Laugh at yourself. This is funny. This is really funny. I spend so much time laughing. I mean, I must have wonderful midriff muscles, because I spend all my time laughing there. right? They are pretty hard, probably the hardest part of the body. I mean, as far as the because they get so much exercise from ha 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 ha. Why do you laugh so much? Why don't you? Okay, everybody, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. Uh, thank you for your attention. I love you all, and I'll see you soon, I hope. Thanks. Bye-bye.